being basically deprived of two major things that black folks need, right?
Mm,
Mm.
Um, we eat entirely too much bread or
mhm,
yeast-based products, and
mhm.
Oh yeah,
we
yeah,
eat too less.
starchitarian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
starchitarians like
yeah,
motherfucker,
yeah, yeah. Uh,
and we eat too less of the fiber, which is
yeah,
what
yeah.
you
And
need.
in fact, I was just did a show, and it's a show talking about food, and what I found out in America, 90% of your wheat is genetically modified.
Yeah, man.
90%, and that's causing all the celiac disease is
Yep.
because you're eating genetically modified wheat and you're binding it with
And why do you
genetically
think?
modified
And why do you think
soybean
that's
oil.
happening? Because you've been under siege from a really a genetically inferior species
Hmm.
that requires your DNA, which is why you're seeing all these different immigration policies every so often. Every time the
Hmm.
population, this
Yep.
isn't the first time that you had a low birth rate, especially in white America.
Yeah.
You right.
Okay,
Preach, bro.
Yeah,
this is the first time that you had a low birth rate.
basically, the birth rate for white people has been basically flat since the
The
1900s. And
1900s, you mean
yeah,
1800s? The
well,
first major
yeah, go ahead.
uh, first major immigration reform was in
Yeah,
1890,
it
which
was
was directly in response
well,
to
but
low birth rate.
it actually went down from. I'm looking at. I was looking at. It went down from like 7 or 8 down to like 3 in 1900. So it would reduce to like a third, and basically it's been at 2 or below 2 since 1900, and right now it's been flat at below replacement since 1965. They've been at
And when
1.8
you
or below.
see
That long.
how the thing
Yeah.
plays out in world affairs,
Hmm.
we've been talking about this the last few months about
Hmm.
the loss in primacy in the world,
Hmm.
in America, and the Western powers
Hmm.
who gave you a
Mhm.
concept of money and everything else.
Hmm.
Um, the loss in primacy
Hmm.
comes. It really couldn't come at a better time. That's a wonderful time to be alive,
Mm,
especially if you're
I,
black, because
I thought I'd never see it because
Mhm.
all because you probably researched the same thing I did, Cerulean. Back in the early 2000s, even China's forecast didn't say they was talking about 2040, 2050
Yeah.
at
yeah,
best. Yeah,
2050. It was
at
like shit.
best, and yeah,
I'll be an old ass man in
yeah,
2050. Like
basically that was
like
the
I don't want to be an old ass man and see this shit
yeah.
crumble. I want to see it
Yeah.
when I'm
You want
still
to see it
young enough
happen
to.
now?
But
Shit. Yep.
basically, it was the overextension of the Gulf War, which is the gamble that they made. In fact, I said it
It wasn't
a
just a
few.
gamble that they made; it was a
Yeah,
grave mistake. And then what happened was they tried to cover it up by going into another war
yeah.
that they knew would have no end because once again we've been floating this economy on this concept that we call credit.
Hmm.
And
Mm.
the thing is we actually gave away a lot of guns. We actually gave away more guns than we actually sold.
Hmm.
And our major, I would say our, but America's major export
Hmm.
is guns.
Hmm.
Mm.
And
Now
so
it
if
is.
you can, in order for you to sell guns, you have to have a conflict to supply guns.
And
Yep.
basically, they got caught up. Basically, that's what I was saying. The oil contracts, because I remember the Exxon oil contracts when they talk about the Exxon pipeline back then. It was worth it was worth 300 billion. If
Mhm.
the life of the contract, they said the amount of oil that they were talking about, which is the Exxon pumping oil from either Iran or from Central Asia, was like $300 billion. And
Mm.
basically, at this point, you spent at least $5 trillion doing it. Back in the was it 2007 when they said that when they came out with, I think it was what was the economist's name? Was it Leibniz or what was his name?
Leibowitz.
No,
Oh,
Leibowitz. What was
uh,
his name?
labor,
It was
uh,
something like that. I can't remember his name because it's been so long.
Lober,
You
Lober.
remember when he actually said it was actually he put the price tag at $3 trillion back in 2007, and we're still there. So we're up to like $5 or $6 trillion that we spent for basically So they say resources or a pipeline that costs $300 billion, which at the time I said that doesn't make any fucking sense to spend $5 trillion over oil that costs 300 billion. We could have bought the goddamn oil for if you want to spend $5 trillion, just buy the goddamn oil and send it where you want to, which makes more sense.
But
Which
but
tells
see,
you it's
but
not
see, it's
about
not
oil.
even about.
It was never
It
about
was
oil.
never about oil. It
Yeah,
was about control. See,
control.
you need to have an exploit in order for this system to maintain itself.
Hmm.
And this is where Meech, the esteemed Panthro, and myself, we talk about this
Hmm.
military.
Hmm.
Okay, in order for your military to maintain its image, its stature in the world,
Hmm.
okay, uh, in order for it to be this vast
Hmm.
and well funded,
Hmm.
that means that it has no other choice but to keep other nations destabilized, keep